Hello there, welcome back to the show. Today I'm going to talk about 3 films. So you get 3 for the price of 1 today. These are like exploitation satires. There's Assassination Nation, there's Mayhem, and there's Belko Experiment. Now one of these is more of a satire than an exploitation movie. Another 2 goes towards exploitation with satire added to it. So basically one of them, the whole idea is to take the mickey, and the other 2 is this is a situation with a lot of satirical potential and we'll exploit the satirical potential, but we're still not making an exploitation B-movie, so we're delivering that as well. And so that's the definitions. The one that's more satirical is Assassination Nation. That's the first one I'm going to talk about. Because it's the worst one as well, so I think actually talking about this one will help illustrate why the other 2 are much better films. Assassination Nation was released in 2018 and it's just been released in like streaming and DVD Blu-ray this year, 2019. It got good reviews but not great reviews. It didn't do that well in the cinema. And to be honest, I'm amazed at as good reviews as it did. I mean, it got mixed reviews, but I'm quite astonished it got to the end because it's a bit of a hodgepodge. It really is. It's not good. I mean, the cast try hard. The cast are doing their best to make this work, but they have not much to work with. I mean, the lead actress is really good. She's really trying her arse to try and get this, not her arse off, to try and get this working. She's really putting her all onto it, but you're not got much to work with. You've got a problem, and the problem with this film, right, is the fact that it's politically correct as a satire, and that's not a good thing. Now, it's got this attitude of, and we've seen in media in the last few years, this attitude of patriarchy and white male privilege and all that stuff. Now, I'm kind of a lefty, so I'm sympathetic to that stuff. You know, there's lots of male behaviour that I'm not particularly keen on. There's like, I wish we could evolve out of that, that's just horrible. There's lots of stuff that's like, you know. So, I'm open for it to be satirised, but it has to be satirised a certain way. I mean, there's been great, male behaviour is a never-ending source of satire. I mean, it always produces more potential for satire just by the way men can act. But the problem with satire is if we just make it one-sided towards the men, there's a whole other gender that's also open to satire, which is women. Women are just as easy to satire as men, you know. And I mean, to have a good satire, you have to get both sides. You really have to get both sides for it to be effective, to be actually and not be like propagandist for some like ideological cause. And this film falls way into that. Now, I mean, there's been really good satires on male behaviour over the years. I mean, you could say Dr. Strangelove. I mean, it really. Most of the guys, most characters that are men, and the mad, you know, plan for nuclear engagement is a very male thing. Is like, we'll destroy you if you try and destroy us. That's a very male sort of thing of thinking. It's open to satire. You can say that's a satire of male behaviour. That really is, because it's very much a male thing. That's open to satire. That's really funny. I mean, it's one of the funniest films ever made. Look at Fight Club or the Chris Morris look at Jihadis. They're hilarious. I mean, Fight Club is just a total satire of men who feel dislocated from their lives, who get into fight clubs and then get into like extremist terrorist cells. And it just goes through the functions of why men are affected this way and why the psychology goes to this direction, and the projection and the dislocation of cause and effect and the blaming of others for your own problems, and it covers everything. It actually looks better now than it did when it was made, because it actually feels like it can cover anything, like any kind of fundamentalism. A lot of the tenets are there here. Taxi Drivers are really good satire, even though it's not always a satire, but it's a look at a certain immature mindset, and it's an examination of what's causing it without going into any reductive detail. It's just like, this is psychology. a lot of men at a certain age go through this. It has to be confronted. That's the psychology we have to look at. I mean, there's lots of stuff. You can really do some really great stuff in this area. This is a really good area. I mean, Full Metal Jacket is another good satire about psychology, how men can dehumanise other men to go and kill men who've dehumanised. I mean, it goes on, and the more I talk, the more I think of great satires of male behaviour. But this one just goes for male men in their teens as an era of satire, and men who are middle-aged and depressed. Easy. That's low-hanging fruit for satire. Anyone can do that, and you can do it in funny ways. I mean, last year Mum and Dad, Nicolas Cage, did great because of this thing about the parents suddenly getting this urge to kill their kids. That's hilarious. That's really funny. You can really do a lot with that. This one just doesn't do anything. I mean, one of the big problems is you've already got the perfect teenage satire with Heathers. It really did it perfectly. It did it from a female point of view, but all the different social animals, women, men, all their craziness, all in this one film. It delivered everything. Everyone got skewered. Everyone was up for grabs. It was perfect. And it had the psychology of what the world seems like to a teenage girl, which means all the elements that are over the top can be explained as the mindset of a teenage girl, but also it's part of the satire because they're satirising what she's saying, so it's complicated. Satire has to be complicated for it to work. This film doesn't get that. This is a long-winded way of saying this film does not get that. It's set in Salem, yet the witch trials. It's that unsubtle. There's obvious elements throughout. I mean, the plot basically is someone starts hacking the phones records of various important people like the mayor, the head of the school. No one's sure who's doing it, but people's lives are getting ruined. The mayor has to commit suicide on TV. The principal is getting called a paedophile even though because he's got photographs of his a young child when in a bath or something, which is what a lot of people might have. It's not like, but they haven't found something sexual to it. Then half the town's emails get dropped on one day, and that ruins a lot of lives. And people start to get mad, and it's all about this whole idea of what happens when the things you want to hide get out in the open, when you start getting judged, rather than being judged yourself. Rather than judging someone, you're the one getting judged, and how people can take the high horse and the high road against other people's sins as a way to not look into their own sins. That's a great idea for satire. It gets 10 minutes. It really does. It does not get the development it needs. It just gets very basic stuff, and it's basically a set up for violence, and it's very tedious. Like Heathers, this one has a point of view of a teenage girl who's doing a voiceover, so there's teenage sex, there's dealing with jocks and typical teenage boy mentality, of which they're all kind of rapey and useless. I mean, it's I'm not sure if that's the American way. I'm sure it's not though. I'm sure there's a whole variety of people in any high school. There's going to be the ones who are dodgy, the ones who are decent, male and female. There's going to be a whole barrage of people who are, there's a whole variety of people, but this one just says men are bad. It's like playing to the field of, okay, we want, I want to look cool because at the moment, because of the Me Too movement, men are bad is a new big thing. And it's like, well, it's even more complicated than that. You know, yeah, there's a horrible example of male behaviour. There's really horrible examples. You see it every year. Look how many prisons are filled with horrible criminals who deserve to be there. There's a lot. There's an element of male psychology when criminalised, when put into criminal output that's pretty terrifying. Especially when you mix like a certain amount of psychology with like low income and few resources. male psychology can be pretty terrifying. But so can female psychology in that situation. That can be pretty terrifying as well. I mean, if you look at your daily life, you've probably got a good example, you've got probably a good spread of, there's decent males, you know, there's decent females, you know, there's crazy males, you know, there's crazy females, you know. Anyone's given life, unless you've got a weird psychological problem with one gender or the other. I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, some men hate women, some women hate men. But if you've got kind of balanced view of the world, you've got good and bad examples of both genders in that, in the life, in a general life. This film doesn't see that. Its main characters are, you know, these four girls. It's one girl especially, but it's her and her three friends. One of whom who's transgender, transitioned from male to female. And in the first half hour, they're trying to set these people up as being, they're kind of spoiled, they're kind of full of themselves. They try to show them the satire, what's causing this. Try to be satirical, but also show what's causing this and all the problems. They also try to show that they're not completely one-sided. We'll have a few bitchy girl characters, and we'll have these girls be a bit bitchy as well, but not too much. But it doesn't go into the characters well enough. I mean, the lead actress, as I said, was really good. She's really trying to give depth to her character. And every time there's a scene where she had to emote, she's really terrific. But the character's not written that well. And two of the girls, lead character and one of her friends, who are also blonde, they look very similar. And it's like, and during later sequences with the suspense, I'm thinking, which one's which? Because they look too similar. There's no visual cue to tell one from the other. And it just becomes a problem, just in a basic suspense mechanism way. That you don't know what's going on sometimes, and it's just kind of, that's a good metaphor for the film, is you don't know, you're so distant from the characters. They're not broad enough to be satires. They're not interesting enough to be characters, to be deep characters. Everyone's just a type rather than a person. And they try and explain that as everyone's got a projection of themselves, it's not their real selves, and no one wants to know their real selves, which is very much a cliche. That's like, everyone knows that already, that's life. That's why people in life just generally get a few close friends, and that's the people who don't really know them. It's not that deep, and it doesn't get skewered at all. It's like as if this is the deepest thing ever, and it's like, that's the kind of stuff that Heather's just brutalised when I was doing it, because it brutalised the teenagers as well, and all their pettiness and all their cliques, and yeah, they're so cool, but they're also idiots. This one doesn't get that. In the second half of the movie, they're the four that are getting blamed for spreading these things, even though one of them, one of the lead characters, she's been a victim of it. For some reason, she's now getting blamed. And the whole plot mechanic of the second half is stupid. It's obvious who did it. Even the brain dead males in this town should have figured it out, because it's so obvious who did it. It's like, if you watch this film and don't figure out who the person who leaked it is, you're a moron. Because it's so obvious. It's someone who's always floating in the back of certain shots, being kind of mysterious, and it's like, just put down, I did it. And then there's a plot twist, 2/3 of the way in, how one of the characters get in trouble, it tells you definitely that's the person who did it. And it's bad. It's really bad. And later on, they've all these suspense sequences, they try to do these De Palma shots. This guy's trying to be De Palma and Dario Argento stylistically, and he can't pull it off. The camera's almost too far away. He's not close enough so you can see specific things to get suspense. So the camera's always floating in these Argento, De Palma floating shots, but without the skill. He's trying to do all these show-off shots, but nothing specific. There's no specific framing, which just creates this mess. It's like this. It's almost like the director just vomited up all his ideas and hasn't put them together. That's all the whole film feels like. It's like, this is a first draft attempt, and no one's going to say that last third is garbage, just get rid of that. You need to develop your characters. I mean the big thing was, if you find out who did it, 2/3 of the way through, it would have still created drama that would have been more interesting than what they did. But to see how that would happen, I'd have to do spoilers. I'm not going to do like a spoiler. But it's just tedious. It's almost like someone tried to be so PC but also do a satire, and it never works. And it's just going to look really lame in 5 years. Especially since it took a really good idea and messed it up. But in 5 years, when inevitably culture changes to something else, so that different people are the oppressed and different people are the problem, this will be like, that's kind of old-fashioned. That's something that always happens. If your satire is very specific to something and you're very biased, 5 years later it always looks really, really lame. And this film's going to look really lame in 5 years, because it doesn't have a point of view. And the final third is like an exploitation movie where the girls get together and do the exploitation things. But they're so incompetent in the first third of the movie that you never buy it. And they basically rely on every man splitting up and being useless. And they try and do a Viva Vendetta ending with all these girls sticking up to the girls who are getting attacked. But it looks really lame. It just looks so bad. It's like, didn't anyone watch this and go, oh, this is wrong, this is just stupid. It's not like, the idea's not like girls getting together and protecting themselves. That's a good enough idea, but you have to do it right. This film doesn't do it right at all. This film just does everything, just chucks things and hopes that they stick, and it just, nothing's been written to set something else up. No characters have been written so that in a suspense and you care about them. You don't care what happens to any of them. And whole thematics are dropped and then come back later on and are just done in the most tackiest way possible. So this is an example of what you do not do with a satire. I could go on for another hour with this film because it's so annoying. First, it should have been good. I was looking forward to this film because it looked really interesting, and then when I saw it, it was like, you've hit every... It even has a bit at the beginning saying, these are the things that will trigger you on film. Homophobia, transphobia and all that. And it was like, that's like 2 years out of date already, even before the film starts, and now it's... And it acts as if this is really, you know, going to shock people, and it's like, no it's not. People know about all these problems, but you have to deal with it in more detail, more humanity, more empathy, even before you get to the satire. This film doesn't do it. Anyway, I'll move on to the films that do it well. Okay, first is Mayhem. Mayhem's way more comic booky than even Assassination Nation, but it knows what it is, and that's the thing. And Assassination Nation was almost 2 hours, it was 1 hour 50, and it really felt like over 2 hours. This film was an hour and a half, and it felt like an hour because it went by so quick. It goes straight into the problem, and by about 20 minutes in, the problem's set up and you have to get through it. So Joe Lynch directed this one. The first film was directed by Sam Levinson. Assassination Nation was directed by Sam Levinson, who's Barry Levinson's son. And when you watch this film, you're thinking about twice the Barry Levinson disaster from the 90s. I know I was. And I saw it twice in the cinema. But anyway, back to Mayhem. Mayhem's a lot of fun. I mean, I've seen another one, Joe Lynch, called Everly, which was also a lot of fun. He makes films that are to the bone. He gets to the point, he knows where he's putting his camera, he knows what the point of each scene is, and he's going to shoot it very spare. You feel like he's planned everything out. He's got a low budget, so he's going to make sure everything counts. It's actually hard to talk about a film that works rather than a film that doesn't work. A film that doesn't work is easy to talk about, which is one of the reasons why I don't like talking about films that don't work, because I feel like you're just moaning and kicking someone when they're down. Film that does work is actually harder to discuss because it's more complicated, and why it works a lot of time is more difficult to explain. But this one just, a virus gets into it's been going around the world, and it's slowly getting worked out what the problem is. It's basically this little virus goes in and it makes you lose your inhibitions. So what they do is they quarantine a building if it's been infected, and whatever happens to the building lawfully is out of bounds, and once it's over, you're not going to try for murder because you're under the effect of this virus. So they're starting to find an antidote. But the building of the lawyers that defended all these people in the first place and made a lot of money off it has got infected. And this is a total scumbag lawyer building, this whole building of these one law firm, and it's making millions a day in billable hours. It's corrupt as hell. It works for all the scumbags in the world. It's just like the place you want to see ripped apart. And Stephen Yeun plays this guy who works there. He started off as a lowly employee and he worked his way up and he defended the first person infected with this virus. So he figured out how to defend them, and he's now getting a corner office. He's doing great with his life. Everything's going well, but he's overworked and he's getting slowly sucked to his soul. So on the day that the virus hits and everyone's infected, so it's all closed off, he gets set up to get fired for something someone further up did. But this is something that would cause the firm a lot of money, a lot of damage. So they're just going to blame someone, which is him. He's going to get the blame for this problem. They blame him as a lone person did it, not us, and they get away with it. He refuses to go along with this, and all hell breaks loose. Because as all this happens, the virus spreads and people start to act out and start beating each other up, and basically Stephen Yeun, along with a woman played by Samara Weaving, have to get from the basement all the way up to the top floor through all these crazies and deal with the top brass who are also infected and also acting crazy. And that's it. That's it. Basically, what I've described is the first 20 minutes of setup, and the rest of it is they have to up all these flights of stairs, all these elevators, through all these locked elevators, and take out the top brass, and that's all it's about. And the whole satire of it though is corporations, how evil they are, how are the lawyers behind to protect them, how corrupt they are, how it's very obvious, right? But they just add it to what's basically a kind of zombie film and have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's like they know this is not the most original idea, but they're just going to go with it. So something like this that actually has an idea I've seen before, but they go for it with a sense of humour, deliver so much more than Assassination Nation did, which had a much better idea in the centre of it, but didn't know what to do with it. This one knows what to do with it. Like, cut it down. The plot's the propellant to get from A to B to C, and from telling this story, you can have a lot of fun with humour. Like, you can see his rise, Stephen Yeun's rise to the top, and all the office politics he's having to deal with as he's getting fired are all set up for what's going to come later, but also it tells a lot of his character, a lot of the decisions he's made, says about lots of humour, a lot of things that he's obsessed by his cup. This cup that gets stolen by a superior, and that's like a weird obsession for him as soon as he gets infected, and it becomes this joke throughout. And all these little, it's sort of like Die Hard in the sense that all the little details add up to something, so that it's not as good as Die Hard, but the idea is instead of being an action movie, this is like a comedy satire, and it's a satire of the greed and the incompetencies of top management who all think they're geniuses, and like it's slowly undone by the fact that they're not quite smart as they think they are, and their underlings below them are as hungry as they are and more motivated, and these people have 8 hours from when the virus hits to when the effects will wear out, and anything illegally bound to the law again to get what they want. So that's the whole thing, is basically dog eat dog, but you've got an excuse to do the worst things possible with all sorts of office equipment, and you can get revenge on people when you can get your grudges taken back out, and people can get back at people who have been wronged them over the years. It's a lot of fun, but it's 90 minutes, even less than that. But it just goes by so quick. The actors are a lot of fun. Everyone's got chemistry. Everyone knows the tongue has to be slightly in cheek, but not totally in cheek. And he just delivers. It's like, this is what it is. It's a comedy. It's a horror comedy. We're going to have lots of fun with, you know, nail guns, and there's going to be lots of blood. I mean, it's It gets its 18 certificate really easily with blood going everywhere. I mean, people die in lots of fun ways. It's a real exploitation movie, but it just knows what it is. And it makes its points about the kind of corporate culture. They've been made before, but it's always good to remind people how evil some of these buggers are. And it knows what it is. It delivers, this is a problem. This is not a solution, but it's going to be fun watching them tear this place apart. It's like, it doesn't even say, like, we have a solution to this problem. It's like, no, the solution is get out. Just leave this area. Don't be involved with these people. Let them tear themselves apart. That's basically the whole idea of the film, is just get away from these people. And while you're in the building, just try and survive and try and get what's yours. It's just great fun. It's not bad. There's not tons of depth to it, but it makes its point throughout about how these people act. And it's just not pretentious at all. I mean, Assassination Nation is pretentious as hell. This film is not. And it's a film I'll watch again and again. And Assassination Nation, I've seen it once and that's enough. I have no desire to watch it again. This film really delivers. And it's like, well, that's what you really want. If you're going to do a satire, it has to be funny so you can keep watching it and you'll keep getting the points it's making. But you have to put it in a story with characters you like, with situations that are fun, with a limit, just don't have an obvious message, limit the smugness. And this one, everybody's evil, men, women, any race can be horrible. Which is a more honest view of human nature. It's just like everybody's guilty. You know, everyone's going to get theirs, and there's no racial component. It's just a mixed race film and nobody cares. It's just like, yep, that's what it is. I mean, the lead's Asian. The second lead, she's Australian. And she's a lot of fun. She really is all these weird background looks and things that are just so funny. She does not take any of the character shit at all, ever. She has no time for any of his garbage. She will enjoy seeing cruelty done to him, especially early on as she's annoyed with him. It's just enjoyable. It's good chemistry between the leads. You know, they're interesting characters. It's just like, this is what you want in exploitation satire. This is how you do it. So Mayhem, hour and a half. If you like a certain type of exploitation movie, which is a sense of humour, lots of blood, give it a shot. It's really good fun. Finally, we've got the Belko experiment, which James Gunn wrote it, and the guy who made Rogue, the killer alligator movie, Greg McLean, I think his name is, he directed it. Lots of fun. Again, it's a bit more, this one is office build people in a building the same as Mayhem, but instead of a virus, they're in a South American country. These Americans in a South American country where the corporation basically pays off the government. The building is locked down and it's a social experiment. And they're in this building, I'm not sure why they're there, what the job actually is. It's just like this job that doesn't seem that profitable, but it's taking place in a foreign country. And the whole idea was a social experiment where they're going to say, okay, you're in here, you have something in the back of your neck, which we can blow your head off if you misbehave, and you have to kill each other. Like, kill like 20 people in an hour, then kill half the people in the building in an hour. And if not, people are going to get their heads blown off. And it's like an experiment of what would you do when you're forced to kill friends, kill people you were formerly close with, because it's only when one person's going to get out. Now this is less comic booky, even though it's a very comic booky idea, it's less jokey than Mayhem. It's a bit more serious. I think people when it first came out thought it was more of a jokey film than it actually was. There's a sense of humour to it, but people take the situation seriously. Everyone wants to get out, and people join their own little tribes to live a bit longer, it's not the case, we'll get rid of these people first and then we'll figure out between us who's going to survive the final battle. And other people, so people are joined, and so the kind of weaker people are joined together, the more you know, predatory people join together, and you just see what people are actually made of below the surface. Again, this film's got lots of blood in it. People die horribly. And it's funny because there's a sense of humour, and people you think will survive longer than they do get killed early. So the billion is not an indicator of who's going to survive. And people you expect to die early don't, but things keep twisting and turning. But there's always an inevitable thing where it's going to be one person surviving. There's no way around it. One person will survive. And it's just a great metaphor for human survival instincts. It just works as a film. It's less of a satire than you'd think, but it just is a really good, brutal exploitation. It's more of an exploitation movie than Mayhem. But there is satire, social satire on how people react in the dog-eat-dog world and how everyone's up to themselves ultimately, no matter how sentimental you get with other people. There's that element. There's also this element of just survival, just brutal exploitation film survival. And it never forgets what it is. It's like, we're going to do this film, there's going to be social elements we're going to bring up, but it's a thriller with a sense of humour. That's what the film is. And it's really enjoyable. It's, again, I don't think it's that long. It doesn't feel long. It feels like it's brutal enough to get the points made and then move on. And it's almost like it knows that it can't stay on for that long because the absurdity of the situation will become too obvious if it meanders too much. So it just delivers this whole feeling of, like, this is inevitable. There's just no way out of this. And people you like are going to die. And you're probably going to die. And are you going to be a maniac or are you going to be a decent person, accept your fate? And it's just a wonderful B-movie. That's what it is. I mean, it's like, I've seen it a few times. It's really enjoyable. There's lots of blood. They don't skimp the blood. They don't skimp in the horror of it as well. Because people just get their head blown off suddenly. You know, they're getting watched the whole time so they can't cheat. Every time they try and cheat to get away out of it, people die and it's horrible. And there's some great payoffs. There's great character payoffs. And there's some really brutal character payoffs. There's things happen. Things go way out of line from what you expect. And there's some really good character actors like hamming it up a little bit, but not too much. Like John C. McGinley's in it, Tony Goldwyn's in it. There's a couple of other characters, Sean Gunn's in it. There's lots of people in it who Michael Rooker's in it, and it's like, there's other ones, I know that face, but I can't place the name. There's lots of actors like that in it as well. And it's just really well done. But as a B-movie, it's unapologetically a B-movie. It has no delusions or anything else. It's sort of like the opposite of Assassination Nation. It's like, it knows exactly what it is. It knows exactly where the point A to point B is. It will have characterization. It will have moments where you really care about the characters, which makes what happens to them more brutal. That's what it is. That's all it's doing. And it's wonderful. It's just wonderful. It and Mayhem are just wonderful. Because the satire's done right with the sense of, okay, we're not going to be Doctor Strangelove. The premise doesn't have the wiggle room to really make a satire. It doesn't have the building blocks to really make a social satire that goes in tons of directions. It has to be a certain direction, the corporate culture. So we're going to do this as well as we can, and we're going to point out all these problems as well as we can, but we're still going to remember it's an exploitation movie. And we're going to be direct, and we're going to have characters that you can follow. We're going to have character actors doing nice little bits in the film that will make them feel more human and make the situation feel more human, make everything feel more horrific. That's all they need to do. And the situation is the satire in itself. The situation is broad enough to be the satire, so you can see, yep, corporations are scum. You know, which most of us know that corporations don't care about individuals. You're just a number to them. They're easy targets, but making these films every so often really helps get rid of the tension of what these people are doing to the world. So that's really good. So that's really healthy satire. And those are two really good films I'd recommend, Mayhem and Belko Experiment. You might not like them, but they're good examples of their genre. You would like me won't, but they're well made. Assassination Nation, kind of a warning against, it's not as good as it looks. It really isn't. I mean, basically, anything is decent in that film is in the trailer. And the rest of it's just a trailer made longer and repeating and repeating and repeating and doing everything that's dull, possibly dull about it. So, Anyway, I'll try and avoid ending on a bad note. Watch Mayhem and Belko Experiment. They're great fun. They're good B movies, they're good enjoyable exploitation movies. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back soon with another video.